Mansfield Matters Podcast, a brand new project of ours where basically we talk all things Mansfield Town. What can we expect from the podcast, I hear you ask, hovering over that stop one? Well, basically, a lot of laughs for Mansfield Mad supporters, taking a chat from the forums, the social media messengers, the terraces, and bringing them right to your ears in what is the only dedicated Mansfield Town podcast on the internet. Probably. I'm Craig Priest and I'm joined each week by fellow fans who share opinions, views and jokes etc. on the club we all know and love. Now, it's not just about me and whoever happens to be sat around me wearing a clip-on microphone in the middle of a park. Yes, we are in Titchfield Park, as you'll probably hear the rain and probably see the rain as well if you're watching this on YouTube as well. It is about you as well. You can get involved on social media. Follow us at MTFC Matters on Twitter and facebook.com/MTFC Matters. We'll leave the links on the website and in the description as well. You can get involved on the comments, comment on the topics, comment on all the matches and all the subjects we put on there as well. And you can also vote in our polls. More on that later on. We're going to be doing a bit of an Ultimate 11, which these guys don't quite know about yet, so we'll tell them about that in a little while. Joining me this week is fellow Mansfield Matters and Chad blogger Mark Plumb, who is just to my left. I've got my lefts and rights there for a moment, Mark. Also as well, we've got Stags fan, Superfan Cam Felton, who's to Mark's left on the camera. So wave to the camera, Cam.
Hiya.
People who's listening to this on the audio can't see the wave, so that was utterly pointless, but there you go. And as well, we've also got the man who keeps begging me to sing the intro music to this very podcast. Don't worry, that's never going to happen. Mr. Nathan Edge, how are you doing, Nate?
I'm good, thank you.
Fantastic. Well, let's get straight on with it then. Obviously, Crewe Alexandra away on Saturday, the start of a brand new League 2 season. Are we all excited to get things underway?
Yeah, we're looking forward to the season ahead.
Should be a good one, shouldn't it? I mean, can Mansfield are backed by the bookies to win League 2 this year?
Title favourites. I think it's going to be tight this season because we're just looking at the teams around us. We're going to be very tight between us, Luton, Coventry, Swindon are another one expected to do well this season, having just come down from League 1. So, you know what? I think you look at the table mid-December, early January, you're going to be looking towards the teams that are atop. They're going to be the teams that are going to be pushing towards come end of May.
13 new players, Mark.
Yeah.
A big overhaul of the squad in the summer from Steve Evans, showing his intentions.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's got players that's been there and done it. You know, they've got promotions on the CV, and you know, just to get quality players. You know, and the strength of depth we've got is fantastic, really.
Certainly so. And Nath, you've been a Stags fan for many a year. We've been through the highs, the lows. Cardiff in 2004 in the playoff final, winning the conference. Has any pre-season ever felt like this?
I don't think so, no. And in some ways, it's kind of scary to be in this position because I can't ever remember a time where we've been favourites to win the league, not even in the conference days. So being in this situation, we're not used to it.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, I think it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. It depends how we get going into the season, I think.
Does that added pressure, do either of you think, we'll come to whoever wants to take it first, does that added pressure sort of maybe put a little bit more pressure on Steve Evans? The fact that this club, as he will have been told by Carolyn and John Radford, has never really been favourites at this point in pre-season. Does that add another lot of added pressure to what we're going to do this year?
I'd say so, yeah, because like Nathan said, we've never been favourites to, even when we won the conference. That season we won the conference, came out of absolutely nowhere. So I think to have that added pressure this season, knowing that we are favourites, I think it's going to draw fans in, which is going to be fantastic. I think that's what's going to get the team over the line this season. The extra backing from the town. The town's been Stags mad over the past 6-7 months that Steve Evans has been in charge, and I've never seen Stags fans this excited for a season to start for, well, as long as I've been following the Stags anyway.
Yeah, definitely. I echo that. Definitely. You know, the excitement around the club. You know, off the pitch as well. You see what we're doing in the training facility and the hotel that's being built sometimes. So yeah, you know, we're just going forward. You know, it's fantastic. You know, I mean, obviously Rapids are back team all the way. You know, with signings. So yeah, it's going to be positive for the town.
First time that really money's been thrown in it from an owner's perspective, really, as well. You look at in the days of Paul Cox. Yes, there was a little bit of money spent there. You could argue that actually we brought a few players in just to prevent other clubs from signing them. We'll come on to that later on. But Nathan, from your perspective, obviously, the fact that we are getting the checkbook out really does show our intent, doesn't it?
I think it does, and I think what it also shows is that I think the Rapids have found the person that they trust, don't they? You know, I think, like I said with Cox, but also Adam Murray came in and he did a great job with I'll talk very highly about him, and I think what he did was
Likewise.
important, and he steadied the ship, I think, and he did what he had to do, and I think I'll be grateful for him for doing that. But as soon as they got Steve Evans in, I think they knew that they've got the man.
Let's settle something once and for all, just on that little topic on the Adam Murray thing, right? For me, a manager of Steve Evans' calibre, you don't just ring up on a Monday, randomly get his number from an agent or whatever and say, Steve, do you fancy a manager's job? Do you agree that that was premeditated in some way, in terms of, we'll give Adam a month, maybe 3-4 weeks to see whether he can turn it around and then make an approach from Steve Evans? Was there a method behind it? Because for me, it didn't seem like it was a instant decision.
Well, you look at the competition that we had to fend off to get Steve Evans. Obviously, he had the offers from Leeds to there. He said he wanted to take a bit of time off managing. He could quite easily walk back into any championship job if he really wanted to, and I'm sure any championship team would be happy to have him. Oldham were another one looking at him, and I think it was in the plan. To be honest, I thought it was a bit of a surprise, because there'd been none of this before. You even looked at, like,
his name had been touted before. I think when Paul Cox left, his name was touted, but it was one of those where, that's not going to happen, is it?
It's never going to happen in a million years. But you know what? I think it's going to change the club for a better, Steve Evans being in. And I think from what we've seen so far, because when he came in, we got 2 wins straight away, and then we got that very heavy loss to Carlisle the following weeks. But the club itself's come on leap and bounds since he's joined, and I think having that experience at championship level and higher levels for Evans, it's done him good. He's brought some of that experience down with him, buying players that have played in the championship before. And I think, well, you look at the players that he's brought in, you wouldn't have thought as soon as the season finished, we'll go and talk to them players. They'll have been in the pipeline since January. We couldn't sign them in January, so we looked at them bringing them in the summer as well. I think a prime example of that is Amara Sterling James. They was going to pay money for him in January, and then they had a look into his contract and found a little loophole, and Stephen was thought, hang on a minute, let's hold off a couple of months, let's get a lone player in and look what's happened now. Yeah, exactly.
Let's move on very briefly. We'll come back to talk about Steve Evans, we'll talk about Paul Raynor, we'll talk about pre-season, all of the things to come. But what we're going to do every week on the podcast here is we do like to entertain a little bit and try and have little jokes. No, Nathan, you're not doing a stand-up comedy set. Sorry.
It's alright.
Although your dad was very funny last night. Me and Cam was at the Raindrops Tea Pots welfare game, and he was telling us a joke about Countdown, which we probably could repeat, but we're going for a family show. So
I'm guessing this is the blind joke, right?
It's a joke about a 7-letter word.
I know.
Yeah, you know. Google it, people. Yeah,
it's definitely a dad's joke, I can tell you that.
Definitely that. One thing we're going to do every week is something called the connection question. It's absolutely pointless, I'll tell you that for now. There are no prizes, sorry, I don't have that budget. But each week at the start of the podcast, or somewhere near the start, I totally forgot to do it at the very start this week, so that just shows how this podcast is going to end. I will ask a random stag-related question, which is a connection to the upcoming fixture. Some will be as easy as Calvin Andrew not in that goal at Chesterfield. Others will be as technical and difficult as Jacob Mellis's goal at Alfreton at the weekend. I'll ask the question at the start, like I say. I'll leave it to linger in the air like the smell of stale Bovril at a conference ground, and then reveal the answer at the end. If you want to play along at home, you can do. There's no fun. There's no prize. Well, there's fun in it, we hope. There's no prize, but there you go. Today's question is this. Who was sent off in the final game of the conference season 2012-13 when Mansfield won the league, and what's the connection to Saturday's League 2 opener at Crewe? Don't say the name or the person you think it is, but one word, yes or no, do you think you know it is? Cam?
Yes.
Mark? Yeah. Nathan? Okay, so 2 yeses, 1 no. We shall find out later on in the show. Let's talk about pre-season then. One person out of the 4 of us here managed to get on a plane as Hudson eats a twig.
Eats a twig, as I said he would do.
Yeah, a legend. Talk about eating weird food and changing climates and things like that. Nathan, you were out on Malta, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, and what an experience that was. I remember a couple of weeks before I was sort of looking at it, and there's a bit of unrest between all the fans, because I know, as it's been widely reported, there's been a lot of trouble getting actually big fixtures sorted out. But I'll tell you what, when we were there, we sort of forgot about all that, because they did get a fixture sorted out, and the atmosphere and with the fans, and and everything like that. It's just something that you're never ever going to forget.
Talk us through that atmosphere then, because I've seen pictures and some video clips on Facebook. I hear that there was a local bus service which was completely taken over by Stags fans singing something good for about 4 hours.
Absolutely. I mean, it was interesting. So when I went out there, we went out, me and my dad and my brother went out there for about 4 days, and obviously the whole trip was on for a week. And I just want to say before we got there, we had the chance to speak to some Stags fans who've been out there for the whole week. And they said the day before we actually arrived, they had the day where they got to meet all the fans, got to meet all the players and Steve Evans, and they all came up to a few pubs. And they said how the players were, interacting with them. That it wasn't like they'd been forced to do; they genuinely was happy to be there. And they said that for them was the absolute highlight of the trip. But as I arrived there, the day of the actual match when we played the Maltese Select 11, I remember actually I just got out the shower and I ran to the balcony because I could hear some singing. And my brother did. Luckily, I had a towel around me. Don't worry. It wasn't
I was going to say, I know.
Yeah, it could have been worse.
Don't want to put those images in people's head. We're only on episode 1. We're going to take it off.
No way. I had a towel. But we just heard this bus coming up the road, and it was just absolutely jam-packed for Stags fans singing "I'm into something good." And this bus was going around the whole of Malta for about 5-6 hours, and they were stopping into different pubs, and it was just called the party bus, and or the happy bus, I think they was calling it as well. And they actually arrived at the match that evening about 10 minutes late. Apparently it wasn't on purpose, but either way it made a great entrance because there was a lot of fans were sat there watching the match, and the next thing you just hear this bus over the horizon, over the mountain hill behind us, and they're just coming down singing songs, and it was absolutely an amazing sight.
We'll have more on that in a moment. As you can probably hear on the audio on the podcast, we are actually getting rained on quite bad now. It's like 6 o'clock. Whoever's idea it was to film and record a podcast outside in the pouring rain, frankly needs the head looking at. So we're going to head off to a cafe which is just over there, and by the power of editing, that'll be done. See you in a minute. By the power of editing, we've now moved inside, and my wallet has taken a bit of a battering from the whole buying tea.
That's your punishment for choosing to do it outside.
Choosing to do it outside. Unfortunately, though, it does mean we've had to turn the cameras off because we're now in a cafe and we feel a little bit like idiots. But we were talking about Malta and about how the Stags did out there. Once they came back into Blighty, though, they had a bit of a decent pre-season at home. 2 defeats and a draw doesn't look quite so good on paper, but Steve Evans rotated a lot, and it was, in the end, actually, probably, I would say, a decent run out.
I'd say it was a decent pre-season. You look at the teams that we came up against. Sheff Wednesday obviously missing out on the Championship playoff final on penalties, losing to eventual promotees Huddersfield Town. And you look at the players that they've got in their team. Fernando Forestieri is, for a prime example, those sort of players shouldn't be playing in the Championship. He's an absolute quality player. Coming up against them sort of players in your first pre-season game at home, I think it is really good. And I think it was a tight game, to be honest, 3-2 to Sheffield Wednesday. I thought it was a good game. Spells where we should have been a little bit better, a bit tighter at the back, but overall I thought it was a good performance.
Do you not think though, do you agree with Paul Rayner in his interview? He was saying about pre-season, you don't look into it too much, it's more about getting minutes into players, and that's really the bottom line of it, really, isn't it? Getting those minutes into those players, to get them to fitness. That's what I probably agree with that. I don't like looking into pre-season too much.
I mean, you can look at pre-seasons, can't you? You can look at smashing teams 4-5-0. You can play as many conference teams you like and win 4-0. What do you gain from that, really, other than overconfidence in the dressing room? You don't do it. If you play you look at the Nottingham Forest game, really, we got beat 4-0. On paper it's a bad result, but actually the lessons that Paul Rayner and Steve Evans and the whole coaching staff will have learned there are huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it also gave the team a chance to try different systems out, playing against top players. So end of the day, it gave them a good workout, and that's what they need. If we're going to be challenging for promotion, it's going to be good for the boys to learn from these mistakes while it's too early.
On the flip side of that, though, obviously he mentions he did try lots of different systems and things like that. Does anyone else feel like we're coming into the Crewe game not knowing our strongest side yet? And to be honest, no matter which combination Steve Evans puts out on Saturday at Crewe, are any of them really going to have had the game time with each other that they actually need? Because he's tried so many different combinations, so many different formations, and not necessarily formations, but so many different selections that it does seem like a little bit of a mismatch. For me, I don't think they've had 90 minutes solidly to say, right, this is my starting team, and this is what's going to work at Crewe.
I think, to be honest, last weekend, Alfreton, first half team, I think the first half team from that will be the starting team. They were solid. for that game.
First half,
Yes. I thought they played quite well, to be honest. It was solid at the back, not many mistakes compared to what we did in... You look at the home games, there were a couple of little mistakes that we really shouldn't have made. But the Alfreton game, we barely made any mistakes. Just as a team, we played really well. And then the team that we played for the last half an hour in the second half, I think we played well, but I think the first half team, as a team, played better. There were key standout plays in that last half an hour that gave us that game. Obviously the goals from Danny Rose and Jacob Mellis.
Let's talk Rainbow last night. Bit of an idiotic thing really to schedule that game so close to pre-season. We were talking to some of the officials at Rainbow last night. They didn't want the game. Obviously Mansfield didn't want the game by virtue of the fact they sent the under-21s. But with the side being so big, would you have expected last night, regardless of the decisions behind it, would you have expected Steve Evans to have had a look at 5 players mixed in with the kids? Maybe 45 each for the keepers, who we still can't split hairs between. I'm talking about the likes of maybe David Murphy, who's struggled with a little bit in pre-season with fitness. The likes of maybe Jacob Mellis, Joel Byram, who it'll be either or for the team selection. Does anyone feel like they should have had 45 minutes last night, despite it being so close to the season opener?
Yeah, I mean, it could easily have done that. I think the likes of David Murphy, and as you just mentioned, obviously he's not got the match fitness yet. He's a bit behind schedule, but we could say the same for Alex McDonald, who's a bit behind with his fitness as well. But I think at the end of the day, we've got a cup game as well against Rochdale after Crewe, so I think as well he was that game as well to get some of the fringe players and run out.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, 13 new signings over the summer by Steve Evans. I'm going to ask you all in turn, who's been the standout for you? Who's the one on paper where you think, blimey, that is a signing and a half for us?
I'd probably say either Paul Anderson or Paul Digby.
You've got to pick one. I'm going to be stretching on the road. You've got to pick one.
Paul Digby. Been fantastic. It's a couple of little mistakes, but that's just getting down to getting used to working with the team. But to be honest, he's been flawless all pre-season, picking out passes. Yeah. He's just bossing that midfield. We've not really had a playmaker really. We've had players that will just sit in midfield and play the ball around, but we've never had someone that has wanted to get the ball forward, attacking from the midfield and supplying the strikers with these chances.
Interesting that you bring Digby up there as the man who probably you're going to say is the man. I mean, I watched him against Sheffield Wednesday. I watched him against Nottingham Forest as well, and Middlesbrough. Yeah. Can't remember the exact games it was now, but I wrote in one of the blogs on the blog page about him playing that interceptor role, breaking up the back four and getting box to box. That sort of quality, and we'll probably touch upon this a little bit more as well. Him and Jack Thomas are similar ages, but the golfing quality is ridiculous.
That's one of the things I was going to mention later on is the future of Jack Thomas. I think we should come on to that, but going on to actually picking another player out there as well, I think probably the most surprising factor, the player that we brought in is Sterling James, because I think when we bought him, most people would have looked at that and said, who never would have heard of him and thought he wouldn't come in and do a lot. This boy is a non-league player, nothing next spectacular there. But actually, he's probably been one of those that has come out looking one of those most likely to get a shirt for the Crewe match.
He always looked really feisty up front. He was willing to go and attack the ball. You look at no disrespect to these players, Matt Green.
Let's just settle something here on Matt Green, right? Because this winds me up. It genuinely does, and I don't care what backlash I get from this. And I expect I will get some backlash from this, but we need to move on from Matt Green. Yeah. Matt Green's just a player from 5 seasons ago when he was in his good spell. I don't think he did anything decent in his second spell, to be honest. No. He never recovered from an injury, and we've spent far too long saying Matt Green's the main man, we've got to get it to him, he's going to carry us through. He's not, he's a confidence player.
Yeah, you look at the chances he missed really for us last season.
The Portsmouth one, well, actually, you bring that up actually. Yeah. He came off the bench against Portsmouth.
One with the keeper.
Yeah, I said it in commentary at the time. I went, there's so many times in the conference he'd have laced that, buried it into the bottom corner. jobs are good. Didn't look confident. It didn't even look like he wanted to be there, to be honest. It's time we moved on from Matt Green.
Absolutely.
I think it's one of those. It's where we've got to thank him for what he's done as well.
It is.
He got us out of the conference.
He's going to be great at Lincoln. Let's not pull ears.
He will score against us. I'll put five on it. He will score.
Like, you look at him compared to Sterling James. Sterling James is wanting to run for the ball. Matt Green, past strikers, Ross Dyer, Nick Wright. Never
God, there's a name, Nick Wright.
I know, this is looking back at it. But with all the strikers that we've brought in, they've never wanted to chase the ball. Like, never chasing the ball off the goalkeeper when he's about to kick it. Yeah, Danny Rose does it, but you need someone to back up as well, because if you've not got Sterling James on, or you've not got Danny Rose on, nobody else is really pushing forward that much. They've never put the pressure on the goalkeeper to do it. So I think to have that bit of energy up front, someone that's actually going to run for the ball, and he knows where the back of the net is, he's got a ferocious free kick as well.
Fantastic record in non-league as well, hasn't he? I mean, the non-league comparison, but there's no reason why players can't do it at this level. It's all about confidence and getting the ball. There's a reason why people score goals. It's service.
Yeah, that's it.
You'll play him out.
Again, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, we've on some quality, but for me, I still think Leandro. I think he'll be the player that can get us them goals.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, also
7 in pre-season, is it? 5 or 7? He's up there, isn't he? I think it's 7. I might be wrong.
I think it's 5. I might be wrong the line, but
either way,
I'm going for 6 in between you. This is how it. But no, I just think not just because of now, but I think it'll be a good investment for the club. I think, you know, if he starts scoring this season, and hopefully we will, he'll get the service hopefully, and I think we've got a top player there. I really do.
And I think him and Danny Rose, from what I've seen in the partnership from them two, they didn't pair together at Alfreton on Saturday, but the games they have played together, that does look like a nice little partnership which just seems to have clicked already. They seem to understand each other well.
I did an article about him earlier a few weeks ago, and I just still believe that, you know, when you look at him off the ball as well, he runs, tracks back, you know, he gets involved, and he's going to be a top player for us. I really think
top class talent, and I think we're very lucky to get him again.
When the midfielder and the defence are getting the ball upfield, he's good at holding the play up. Obviously Danny Rose holds the play up well, and I think that's where the connection between them two come in. They both have a very similar style of play. And if you've got someone that plays the same as, well, roughly the same as you can sort of like guess what they want, sort of like what ball what's playing through to them. If you were playing like 4-4-1-1, you've got one player sat behind the other. If you're similar players, you're going to know what sort of balls to play. They'll know what sort of where to play it, what defenders. They'll look at the defenders coming up against them. Like, they'll be looking at Crewe at the minute, they'll be looking at their defence, how their defence sort of like has played before, look at the players that they've brought in, how they played, and you'll try and find the best way through their defence. And that so far I think works for Rose and Angle. They've played well, and I think to have strikers that are playing well as scoring goals, it's alright getting a goal scorer, but if you've not got someone that's going to be part of the team as well, then it's not gonna work if you've not got that teamwork between them.
Definitely. Let's have a look at the future of Jack Thomas. Nathan, you mentioned it earlier. We watched him at Rainworth last night. He captains the under-21s as they won the Green Energy Challenge Trophy by 4 goals to 1. Does he have a future at the club?
My honest opinion, as much as I'd love to say he would, I don't think he does. I just think, even though he's got the heart of the club, and at one point it did look promising for him, I just think the quality, like you mentioned earlier, the quality now is so different. I don't see him having
I mean, there's 2-3 years max difference between him and Digby. And the development that Digby's had from Ipswich and from previous clubs that he's been at, compared to the development that Jack's had for a similar age and similar position, similar type of player, it's just different class. I genuinely don't see a way. I mean,
I think any Mansfield Town sport would love him to, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
They'd love him to come through.
There's no doubt that everyone Mansfield Town wants him to be in there. Jack's a great lad. I've watched him from his youth team days come right through to the first team, but what he needs now is, I think he knows it himself as well, I think he'll be the first to admit it, he needs to get out to a conference club where he's going to play week in, week out. I'm not talking Barrow or Boston, the Conference North, where he knows an ex-manager. He needs a fresh start, a manager he doesn't know, players he doesn't know, to get out and say,
it's where he's going to learn, isn't he?
I can play. Because otherwise he's not going to have a future in football, because he's just going to stagnate and go stale.
I think that's the last thing we want to see. I mean, even whether it's with us or someone else, we as a Mansfield Town supporter, everyone will want him to go on and do well, won't we? Like I say, a lot of us have got to know him as a player and as a person, and he is a great lad. So I mean, I don't see him with a future with, but I'd always wish him the best wherever he goes, as long as it's not Chesterfield.
Obviously, we'd like to see him in. What do you think on the subject of younger players that Paul Rayner and obviously Steve Evans will do this year, because they've got Lewis Collins in the first team squad training. We know that 3 or 4 of the other youth team lads do play with the first teamers in training. They do train with them a lot. How important is Jamie McGuire in this role to sort of take them under his wing? He's a coach now, he's no longer a player. Sadly, I'd love to see him still have the shirt on without a doubt. He's now moved into coaching with the 21s. How important is his role in developing those younger players and integrating with the squad? Because I think once we play in the reserve league, every home game there'll be 2, 3, 4 senior players who aren't playing, which we'll talk about in podcasts over the course of the series, of course, but there'll also be those younger players who are on the fringe of the first team. How important is Maguire in that role?
I think it's going to be a key part of the academy side of the team. And you know what? You look at Maguire's experience, the levels that he's played at, how long he's played there for a start. It's something different. We've got Richard Cooper in the academy side, got experience there. He knows what he's doing. Same as Mike Whitlow and John Dempster, all fantastic people, all know what they're doing. But I think to bring Jamie McGuire in gives it a bit of an edge, because he's not only does he.
You're going to say because he's mental, aren't you? You're going to say
he is absolutely mental. Yeah, I'll give him that. But
passionate mental, and not mental serial.
But passionate. He lives and breathes, man. Well, he did. I don't know whether he still does. Obviously, is he at Boston? He's playing Boston part time now, isn't he?
He needs to keep his hand in there. But I think looking just to respond this briefly, I think looking at that from a sceptical point of view, I think there's something in that. I think once he gets to sort of October, November time, Adam Murray needs a couple of players at Boston. He knows Richard Cooper well, he knows he'll coach the younger players well, he knows how to play them. Maguire's playing at Boston, he's a coach at the under 21s here.
Yeah.
Am I putting 2 and 2 together and getting 7, or am I on the money?
Yeah, it makes sense, obviously, getting the contacts and that, so it makes sense, and it'd be good for the younger players as well, just to get first team football, especially to toughen them up as well at that level. So
it does, and what we've seen of the youth team last night at Rainworth, they're looking absolutely solid.
They've won their division 2 years in a row now.
2 years in a row, and I think
that's the same team as well, so they're going to get older and progress.
Yeah, and there were some fantastic performances last night. You look at Sam Wilson in goal, looking absolutely solid. Yeah, he made one mistake, it cost him a goal, but you know what? Just as a team performance, they played really well. I think the only let down player last night was Jack Thomas, to be honest.
It's harsh, but it's true.
It is harsh, but you know what?
How did he play last night?
For me, I said this too, didn't I, Cam, at the start? I asked Cam the question: if you were Steve Evans and Paul Rayner, who Paul Rayner was watching last night, incidentally, what would you want from Jack Thomas? Cam said, take control of the ball, control the midfield, boss the game.
Stop giving away fouls as well, because all I've noticed over pre-season
is got it. He's every foul. He came on against, was it Middlesbrough in the night game? 10 seconds, it's ridiculous.
But that's lack of experience, and I think because he's not had the chances, he's not had the chances in the game, but he's just not had chances to play at all. You look at the players that were brought in.
Is that down to bad man management, question of attitude? There has been that question raised with Jack Thomas, or a mixture of the two?
I think it is a mixture of both, to be honest. I think obviously not getting game time, he's still only a young lad, he will get a little bit stroppy about things. If he's not getting game time, then most players wouldn't be happy. That's why you send players out on loan, to get the game time, to get the experience. Jack's not had that, he's been sent out on loan to Barrow. It's fair enough to Barrow, they're pushing playoffs in the conference, but he needs to go somewhere that, like Craig said, he needs to go somewhere new, make a name for himself.
He's got to start again, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's pretty much got to start again. Yeah. He made a couple of good passes, a couple of good interchanges last night, but he's still going into tackles knee high, making ridiculous lunges. He needs to cut that. If he wants to be a good player, he needs to cut that sort of stuff out, because if you're going to get that from players, it's going to be a bit of a liability.
And this comes back to my Digby thing, because Digby does make those challenges and he does win the ball back and he does go in for harsh challenges, but he does it in the right way. He applies himself in the right way. He's got that clever knowledge about him. It's an interesting one. Hopefully, Jack Thomas does go on to have a decent future, and with that, if that's with Mansfield Town, then fantastic. If not, then we wish him all the best. Let's briefly move on to the striker situation. Push for time, so I'm looking at the time on my phone now. I think the rain's cost a little bit. I only got 10:12 on my parking ticket, so I'm thinking I might have to leg it back. It was sort of good fun. Cam's got quicker legs than me, so it's fine. I'll send him with some money in my keys. I know, he'll come and climb me. Striker situation. A bid's been accepted, unlikely to be done before Saturday. We mentioned it earlier with Rose, Angol, Sterling James. We didn't mention Jimmy Spencer, but I think he's a decent, good hold-up player. He will get goals, he'll get in good positions, and he will earn goals. One word answer, around the table. Do we really need a big, out-and-out, 30-goal a season striker with what we've got at the moment? Yes or no, Nathan?
Thanks for letting me go first.
All the pressure.
I'm going to say to win the league, yes. For promotion, no.
Cam?
That's a tough one, to be honest.
I didn't ask whether it was to ask yes or no.
I'd probably say no.
Mark? Yes. I am also going to say no. So we've got 2 yeses and 2 no's around the table. Purely because I think Steve Evans has backed Danny Rose to get 25 goals a season. Angol says he wants to get 20-25 goals a season. Jimmy Spencer will get you 10. Sterling James will get you 10, 15, maybe even 20 if he gets a good run in the side. Paul Anderson will get you goals. Atkinson will get you goals. You've got goals from all over the pitch. We look good from set pieces this year. I think let's not buy a striker. Let's get a young, hungry striker on loan who's got goals in his tank, just to support there. And then, if we need it in January, have another look at the situation.
I mean, the thing is, though, in press, Steve Evans did say that it is a young player that we have bidded for. So it may be nobody that everybody's thinking about. It may be somebody that is quite young, who is hungry and wants to prove himself. So that might fit the bill still, what you're saying, but instead of getting them on loan, we're actually paying something and having them they may be someone that as an asset that we're going to sell on.
Certainly so. Right then, let's have a look at Crewe Saturday. First game of the season. Crewe Alexandra, of course, managed by former Stag Dave Artell. Took over last season. Bit of an indifferent pre-season from Crewe Alexandra, to be fair. One result which does spring out at me, a full-strength Crewe side. Last weekend, beaten 3-0 by Macclesfield in the conference. Only played 1 home game as well, whether that's something to do with the pitch or whatever, I'm not sure. They beat a Stoke City 11 by 3-1 on Saturday. So what are we expecting from Crewe? They were a very average side last year and they've not really done too much business in the transfer market.
I think it'll be a tough game. Obviously I went to Crewe last year and I thought it was a tough game. The pitch was an alright pitch, but the weather didn't really do any help for that. But to be honest, it was a good game. It was a very rough game, I'll give them that. They were a very tough side, and I think that's where Stags needed the bigger players. Last season we didn't really have a midfielder that'll boss the midfielder around. Fair enough, we brought Jamie McGuire on, but I think this season I think we'll win there, to be honest, because you look, obviously how they're doing in pre-season, more draws there.
I think we said earlier, didn't we, you can pretty much discount pre-season, can't you, for what it's worth anyway. So.
Yeah.
Right then, one thing we are going to do on the podcast each week is we are going to do a bit of a predictions game, get a predictions league going. Again, well thought out, I thought of it on the way here. What we're going to do each week is we're going to predict the match score. If you get it correct, it's going to be 10 points. So, say for example, Mark, you went Crewe 1, Mansfield 3. If it finished Crewe 1, Mansfield 3, you'd get 10 points. You then select your goal scorers. So let's say Crewe 1, Mansfield 3, Danny Rose, Lee Angol, and just for a laugh, Conrad Logan. All 3 score, you get a bonus point for every single player. If you put Danny Rose as one of your 3 and he scores a hat-trick, you only get 1 bonus point because you've only said he's going to score 1. That understandable so far?
Yep.
If you get the outcome right, so say Mansfield win 2-1 and you said 3-1, it's just 5 points. Also bonus points for the the goal scorers, as we said.
Yeah.
So, I did have a pen somewhere, but I can listen back to this anyway and write it down anyway. So, who wants to go first? Who's going to go? Who's going to throw themselves under the bus and give their prediction first?
Looks like it's me then.
Yeah.
Go on then, Nate.
I'll go.
Bob volunteered.
I'm going to go for a solid 2-0 win for Stags.
Goal scorers?
Goal scorers will be Sterling James, and I'm going to go for Atkinson.
Okay, Cam.
I'd say 2-0 as well. 2-0 and Rose and Digby.
I'm going to say 2-1 Stags. Scorers being Angle and Nellis.
Okay, I am going to go also for 2-1 Stags. I'm going to go for Danny Rose and Liangar for mine. I'm going to do some extra points now. Obviously, as we wrap this up, Steve Evans doesn't know what his starting lineup is going to be yet, so I thought for 10 points per player, for an extra laugh, why not predict the starting lineup? Now, Mark, I know for a fact you've already got yours written down, so we'll start with you by proxy.
Okay. I think Conrad Logan in goal, Benning, Pearce, Diamond and White in defence, Anderson out wide, Digby and Ellis in the midfield, Atkinson out wide and Rose and Angle up front.
I'd probably start Lesnick in goal. He looks solid at Alfred, to be honest. I'd probably start. This is a tough one, to be honest. I'd probably go same back line.
It's like playing Football Manager.
It is. Yeah, I'd say.
It's tough, isn't it?
I'd probably go Benning, Pearce. I'd probably play Taft instead of Diamond and White on the wing. Anderson, Digby, Mellis, Atkinson sounds about right, to be honest. And I'd probably play Sterling, James and Rose up front.
Nathan.
Conrad Logan, Benning, Murphin and Diamond and White right back. Midfield, I'd go for Anderson on the left. And then the centre midfield is very tough, I think. But I'm going to say Digby and Will Atkinson. I'm not sure who'd say on the right. Well, up front anyway. I'll go for front. How's that?
It's tough, this.
Yeah, I'm going to say up front. I'll go for my right mid in a minute. Up front, I'm going to go for Danny Rose and Sterling James. I think he'll start.
Interesting. Okay, and your right winger.
I don't actually know what to say.
Just put a name on it. It's only 10 points. Only for a laugh. Just stick a name on there.
Because I'm not sure about the midfield, I'm going to say Mellis, just because I think he could come in the centre anyway. So.
Interesting, because it doesn't matter where they end up playing.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying. If you're in the starting lineup, you're going to get points. He's playing for points. That's what I'm playing for.
Good lad. I'm going to go. If I was Evans, I'd pick a Lesnick, but I'm going to go Logan because I think it looks like it's going to be Logan. Bennett, Pearce, Diamond, Benning, Potter, Digby, Byron, Anderson, with Rose and Angol up front. Now, last chance to double your points. I've just thought of this on the spot. Captain, double your entire points from this week only by getting the correct captain for the opening game. Mark.
Diamond.
Cam.
Anderson.
Nathan.
Anderson.
I'm going to go Anderson. So there you go. Okay, earlier on I asked you all a question as well. We'll wrap this up now as well. The connection question, a pointless question, no prizes, but each week, as we say, I'll ask a random stag related question which is a connection with the upcoming fixture. Some will be easy, some will be hard. I'll ask the questions to start as I did when we were outside and before it started raining, which incidentally since we've moved in here it has stopped raining, so we've moved in here to get all the clatter of the coffees and what have you for no reason whatsoever, but there you go. I asked you who was sent off in the final league game of the conference season 2012-13 when Mansfield won the league, and what's the connection to Saturday's League 2 opener at Crewe? Mark, I'm going to start with you.
This is only a guess, but
Okay.
I'm going to say Luke. Probably going to run with Luke Jones.
Okay. Cam.
I definitely know this one.
Go on then. That's confidence. He said that with sheer confidence.
It was Dave Artell for Wrexham for a high-footed challenge on Colin Daniel, right down the dugouts in front of the Bishop Street, and Dave Artell is now manager at Crewe.
It's very specific, Nathan.
Yeah, I just suddenly had a thought then when you were saying. I just thought obviously links to Crewe. And then I thought, I was thinking of a Stags player. I was thinking of a Stags player, but then and then I realised obviously Wrexham. So yeah, Dave Artell.
Yeah, the answer of course was Dave Artell, who was sent off expertly described by Cam and is now the Crewe Alexandra manager. Well, like the proverbial referee, it's time for me to blow the full-time whistle on the first ever episode of the Mansfield Matters podcast. Please share the links to all of this all over your social media pages. Details of ours are in there as well, our Twitters, whatever, so you can follow us if you wanted to. Hopefully we've made it easy enough for you to download so you can listen on the way to Crewe or whenever you want really. Whether you listen to it in the bath, whether you listen to it whilst you're cooking dinner, whatever tickles your fancy. We're not going to judge anybody. You do whatever it is you like. So there you go. Make sure you check out our blogs, etc. over the weekend and join the chat on social media as well. We want you to get involved. Before we do go though, quickly, I did mention earlier on in the podcast, which I forgot to do in this one, that we'll be starting something called the Ultimate 11. We're running out of time today, so we'll start that next week. Basically, we're all going to pick our favourite players from a certain position. We all pick a different player each, and then we put it to the vote on Twitter, and we create the Ultimate 11. There's the idea behind it anyway. So that's a reason, if not for any other reason, to join us at the same time next week. As I say, make sure you check out all our blogs over the weekend. Join the chat on social media. We'll be back crashing into the internet next week. Until then, from me, from Mark, from Nathan and from Cam, and of course from Glad Dog Huston, who I'm happy to tell you is having a nice little sleep on the floor after eating some twigs earlier on.